Hi everyone, this is Evan Lowe here with Camellia Rose. Today I'm going to show you how to put in the Ciara Wig for the most foolproof way to make your life easier. Let's get started. So what I'm going to do with her is I'm just going to be really sure that her quiff is appropriate for her face shape. So my rule of thumb, and it is the most foolproof way, is I always look at the arch of her eyebrows. Now by looking at that, one of the things that drives me crazy is when people will take it way too far out here and then there's just not enough hair to either cover that or you just have too much hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go directly diagonal from her eyebrows here. I'm going to return her head for me. Some people say that they like to have their hair dirty or a day old. To be honest, I like the hair to be washed the night before, and then what I will do is I'll put a little texture spray, which we actually have here at Camellia Rose. So what I do here is I am parting her hair in almost like a perfect rectangle. Now, the best way to measure how far your quiff should go back is I always say from your thumb knuckle here to the tip of your thumb is how deep that part should be. So by doing that, I just have enough room for where my hair donut's going to fit in and her ponytail, and then the braids in back are going to go in that. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. So with this first part, I'm just sectioning this off so I know where I want to go. Clean lines are going to be the best. You're not going to pull your dancer's hair. You're going to keep them not freaking out at you. They're going to have a better day. It's going to make your life really easy. So with this part, I'm just going to clip this up here. And I'll worry about that a little bit later. I just want to get a good base in there. And then I'm going to have her turn for me. Perfect. So what I like to do is I like to section the hair in two separate sections first. Now, the really important thing to get a really good shaped wig, you know, the ones that you see on Instagram of maybe your favorite dancer or something that we post here on Camellia Rose, they all have to do with a really good base. So this is one of the most important things. And then putting in the wig, you need very minimum pins. So what I'm doing, I'm separating her hair from the behind her ear just to the top of her head. So this part here, I'm just going to comb forward, let that be. But no, this is really crucial. A lot of times girls, they will lose, because the wig cap is round and your head is round, but you do have corners in your head shape. What you just want to be sure of is that from this point up here, you come directly down diagonal, and that'll give you a really full wig shape, and it'll give you width, and the wig won't pull up as much. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go and tilt her head down, and you just want to be sure that you're directing the hair down and away from her part. Now this, you just want to be super sure that you have it a really tight braid. Without a tight braid, the comb isn't going to stick, the pins aren't going to stay in, and it'll just be a disaster later on. And then I just secure that with an elastic. Some people like to use big elastics, some people like to use the little rubber ones. Really no preference. Can do whatever works for you. For her, I am using the bigger one just because I know her hair is super fine and I won't be able to get it through the other way. And turn your head this way for me. And then I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Perfect. So once I got those two things set up, what I'm going to do is from here, I always say what you want to think of is right on the top of your dancer's ear is where you're going to put that ponytail next. So I'm just going to comb everything straight up. Now, as far as those of you who are watching and you go, oh, well, his sections look perfect, or, you know, the hair is really smooth, don't worry about it, because all that is going to be in a wig. You're not going to see that at all. And just be sure that there's not crazy knots in that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to have her turn forward for me. I'm going to use her donut. So what I've done with her donut is I've cut it in half. This is one of our big donuts. I've actually almost cut it into like a quarter piece, because instead of having a piece right on top, what I'm going to do with it is this is going to sit up there just like a crown. So I'm going to place it exactly where I want it. I'm going to stay a little bit further back from that part, as you can see right here, just so that I'm not digging the wig combs into the donut and then it shifts everywhere. Now what you're going to do here is you're going to pin it sideways through the side first. And I do that on both sides, and that just helps me maneuver it where I want to, instead of having to go back while the wig's on and trying to get it in the right shape after. And then as I do that, because I know both of my pins are going in this way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross my pins by holding support on the donut here. And then I'm just shoving it straight in. So I'm locking my pins either way, so that, say she does have a heavier crown, or if your dancer does choose to not wear a piece, you know, you can really blend the quiff into it, and it's not going to move around. Because that's the biggest thing. You get this really beautiful base, and then you put the wig in, and it's all ruined, because it's just not going to stay at all. Now for me, I always like to use an ample amount of pins, but I don't like to go crazy. I think a lot of times people will use pins just because, oh, I have to keep this wig in. Well, you're not really working with anything at that point. You're just shoving them in, and it creates headache. It's more to take out later, and it just is unnecessary. But you can see any of the loose bits here, like that bit, I know that will shift and I know that will move everything. So I'm holding it tight and just putting pins. Perfect. Now as her braids in the back, all I'm going to do with them, I'm just going to pull them up and do X pins right here. And what that'll do is that'll just secure them. Alright, got that all set. Now for the quiff. This is honestly the most foolproof way. You can back comb it, you can get it in the shape that you want, but a lot of the time what happens as well is once you put that wig in, the quiff falls, or it gets really, really small. So instead of having to make an oversized quiff and then having to compensate later, if you do what I'm about to show you, it'll just make it super simple. You'll be able to comb it out later, and it'll just be way easier. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to section out her quiff so I can get a really, really smooth front, but then I can have a really, really good back combed pillow in it, and that's really going to be the key point in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a really light hold hairspray. My favorite is the L'Oreal L-Net hairspray. This is by far the easiest for dancers. It's at a good price point, and if it's gone, you can find it anywhere in the world. So I'm just going to spray it like crazy, right at the roots mostly. And then I kind of like to let it dry for a sec, so I let it dry, because if you comb it wet, you don't really get that lift, you don't get that soft airiness that goes on in the quiff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to section. Now what you want to do is, I call it packing. So in order to get her quiff to not look like it's just a wall right in front, I pull it kind of front diagonal, and that's just easier ergonomically too. But instead of like doing all these big circle motions, I'm going to pack. So I just take my teeth, I stick them in, and I push down right away. So if you just pack, 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 and you can see the hair through the ends is getting thinner, that's perfect. You want that to happen. Now, as far as how you take this out, what I tell people is just put conditioner in it, go in the shower, put cold water on it, and then comb it out with a wet brush. If you don't do that, you're just going to be brushing this out for ages, and it is just going to hurt like no other. So once I have my two sections like this back combed, I just melt them together like this, and then I just back comb them a little bit more. So what I'm kind of trying to create is like a huge tunnel of back combing here. And then I just want a little more. Now with her hairline is not perfect like Kim Kardashian. We're human, so you just gotta work with what you have, and every dancer is gonna be way different. So you just wanna be sure that you accommodate that. Perfect. So what I'm gonna do with it now is I'm unhappy with this section. I feel like that's too big, so I just back comb it in. Don't have to be too picky. So now what I'm gonna do is you can either roll it the way I roll it. I'm a trained hairstylist, so it's easier for me, but for you, if you go like this and you roll it up, it's really easy. It's good that way as well. So I'm just gonna be sure that I get some space in there. And then I roll it. Now you can see I basically made, and I'm gonna turn her head, I basically made a little tunnel in there. And that's basically where I'm gonna stick my first pin. So stick one on both sides. So now what I'm going to do, this is where the shaping of the quiff comes in, and we haven't even done the part where you get to see the smooth part. So if it looks messy at this point, don't worry about it. It will be solved. So I just really get my fingers in there. I pull it apart. You can see how we have a much more square shape right through here. All I kind of do here is I just kind of push those corners down where I want them, and then I just secure them with a pin. And I've said it before, but what you just need to be sure of is if it looks messy now, you can always tidy it later. We're trying to get a good base. And then I just choose to be really picky on the shape because we invest a lot of time in this, and if you're not willing to make it look perfect, don't put a wig on. No, just kidding. You always need a wig on. Don't be silly. So once I got that shape, you can see that I have that rounded shape. It's nicely shaped. It's really secure. It bounces back at me when I push on it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my comb, and I'm going to comb the smooth bits just right over top. Now this is a really good pro tip about backcombing and smoothing. So if you want to take out backcombing, stick your comb 90 degrees and that will take out backcombing. If you just want to smooth it a bit, tilt it 45 and that'll take out the backcombing a little bit, but you're not ruining what you just worked hard to get. So before I even pin anything, I kind of brush the hair in the way that I want it to go. So for her, she has 2 natural cowlicks that kind of go squiggly there. That's fine. I'm going to fix that with hairspray. So with my hairspray, again, less is more, but I'm just going to spray her. Not wet. And I let it dry just a bit, but not as dry as when I was backcombing because this is how I'm going to get that hair in that shape. Now, a light hold netting hairspray like that is the hairspray to use for this. You can always use a lac hairspray to get that really solid shape later. So then what I do, I kind of gather all this up just on my thumb there, and I like to use a tail comb always. If you don't have that, they're really, really cheap. Go get one. But all I do once I have this up here, I just lay my comb in there, and you can see how I get that shape really, really nicely. Because what I find most time when I'm helping people, I'm doing wigs, and I hear moms or dads or whomever that's helping them with their wig, they always go, oh, I can never get it even. If you do this and you spray it, it's already there. You already have that shape, and all you have to do now is secure it. And I do 2 pins, and I do them so they kind of cross over each other like that. If you do them like that, it's pointless. You want them to cross against each other. And then with the extra hair, as far as where it goes, don't be too picky. Now, if you have a dancer with really, really thick hair, obviously you want to. What I would do is I would do the quiff first, and then I would put this piece in. With her hair type, I just didn't. I'm not too worried about it. And then just to secure what we have, I'm going to take a little bit of hairspray, any flyaway bits, and you can see how there's a much lighter softness to this. It doesn't look like you just put like a bump bit in there and now it's just there. Because really the goal is to make it look like human hair even though it is a wig. Now for the wig. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to be sure that this ponytail is nice and wrapped up and pinned before I put my wig in. And rotate your head down. Now with this, and the other tutorials you'll see, I'll show you how I take care of this. With her, because this is what's giving me the shape, I'm not too picky about it. And she has finer hair anyway, so even if I did put it in a donut or if I did anything like that, it wouldn't do much because the donut would be doing the work, not her hair. Alrighty, so with her wig, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip it in the front first. Some of your dancers may like to clip it in the back, and that's perfectly fine, especially if they're doing it on themselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt her head down for me. Now, right where this little part is, you can see why I left a little space through there. I'm just going to go ahead and go down with them. And then because I have those other bobby pins in the donut, I'm just going to be super, super sure I'm not like ripping her hair out. But hey, no pain, no gain, right? Right. Right? Right. So you can see, if I move her head around, that's staying. They're staying in there. That's not moving anywhere. Now, I always like to secure pins right away. So by doing this, I'm going to have her keep her head straight up for me, actually. I'm going to cross my pins right away. Don't want to take away from the quiff. And then move it about wherever you want that shape to be. So now as far as what I'm going to do at the back, I'm going to turn her sideways for a moment. And I'm going to take the clips from the back here, and this is where the two braids really make a really, really, really important value to what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down with this. Now, all I did is I just went down and up with it, and you can see by just lifting this up, you can see those braids because they're down and diagonal. See how I had that space there? They just lock in, and this isn't going to go up this way. It's going to stay right where I want it to be. And that way you just have to use less pins. Your dancer is not going to be screaming at you in the morning, or especially if I'm doing their wig at a major, they're not going to be like, oh, this hurts, because we don't have to do as many pins, which, who wants to do more when you can do less? And then what I'm going to do, so I kind of do what I call my pressure points. So I do one up in the front here, one X in the back. I'm going to do one in the corners here, one right behind her ear, and then one right in front of the face, which is what is really in trend right now with dancing, is that we just want to get that shape in there. So I put it in, I put one bobby pin this way, I put one bobby pin this way. And I'm being sure I'm not taking up hair. What I'm doing is I'm being sure that I secure it to the band of the wig cap. And same on this side. And that's right behind her ears. Have her turn forward for me. So now this is where you need to ask your dancer for help. So what I like to do is, just because a lot of times if I do it myself, if I pull it to one side, well then this side of the wig is flying this way and then this side's already secure, so then you have to go back, which is not necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold those two right there, and I'm actually going to ask her to grab here with both of her hands. So put your hands where I'm holding this on both sides and just hold the wig cap. Perfect. Hold that, and you can let go of this side. And what I'm doing here is I'm pulling it forward. Now if I have her turn her head, you can see my wig cap is pretty far forward. It's just right in front of her hairline. Now you don't want to be pulling right on that hairline because that's going to pull your hair out, and that's just miserable. So same thing, X your pins, and then just be sure that you're not pulling hair away from there. And if you maneuver the wig, that's fine. That's the point of it. That's why we reuse them all the time. We can let go of this side. And I'm a big messer with the wigs. Like I love a brand new wig, but I like them to look a little bit more lived in, for sure. So you'll see me, and I just kind of like go like this with my hands, and I kind of wiggle it through, and that just breaks up the normality of which way the curl is going. Now, as far as her look, I like it a bit smoother up here. Just because with her, sometimes she does a bow, or if she wears a tiara. And with the Ciara wig, it's meant to look like a high fashion bob. It is not meant to look like the Robin wig, where we just have all this chaos up here and it looks really natural. This is meant to look like a really cute bob. You can either cut it here, or you can do whatever you like with it. And now, just being short, what I like to do is I like to take pins, and I'm going to tilt her head down for me, and I flip this up here. And you can see where her wig cap separates from itself, where the wefts are. I take pins, and I look right for that hair donut that I cut in half, and I stick pins in there, just so that we have security. And with the Ciara wig, I find you don't really have to do a lot of shaping because it's already short, it's already cut into there. And then now that I have security, I'm going to work on shaping it. So here, for example, I know when she dances, and a lot of times I'll have my dancers, they'll jump for me, I'll see where the hair is moving, where I want it or don't want it. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to push it, turn your head toward me, I'm going to push it and pull it where I want to. So for her, I like seeing a little more natural gape there. So what I'm going to do is I think people will pull here and then they'll pin here. Well, then there's nothing up here. So I like to go right up by that quiff where I want that frame to be. And then this is the shaping part. I honestly just take bits, push them where I want them, pull them where I want them, if I want them there, if I don't want to. So you can see now, because you put that curl and you pinned it up there, now it's going to stay there. You're not going to get that open gap, and that hair's not going to fall out once you start dancing as well. So same here. See how we have this gap right here? I like to pull some of the curls forward. Sometimes I like to pull them from the top, sometimes I like to pull them right from the wig cap. It just depends on where you are and how you pull it. And sometimes, honestly, like this side, I just noticed the way I did the quiff, just due to human nature, I just squeezed it, pushed it down a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pin it up into the quiff. So you can see, now all it looks like is that her hair would fall back, like if it had a tiara, it would just kind of cascade away from the face. And then I'm going to have her turn her head this way for me, toward me. So you can see shape-wise, because I have that half donut here, we get that really nice shape. We're not super flat back here, but it's going to stay up front, you know. We're not going to have anything where the wig slides back or it looks like it's fallen off. And then for me and my own self, I like to use a little bit of hairspray, same netting hairspray. Never, ever, ever do I use a finishing hairspray on a new wig. I never, ever use finishing hairspray, pretty much ever, until I'm done and I just do it right on the quiff right here. So for example, like one of the things that's driving me, I'm not a fan of it right here. This curl wants to do whatever it wants here. All I kind of do is manipulate with my fingers. Like I said, that kind of gritty action you got going, I want it to go away from her face. I'm just going to spray that. And you can see I still have that bounce. The hair still responds. The hair still moves. Beautiful. For her crown, I chose this one. This is another one of our articles from Camellia Rose. What I'm going to have her do, and basically I asked the dancer to do this so I can maneuver the other parts. The thing that you don't want to happen is you don't want to put your crown in and you get that super squish. You just worked hard to get all that volume. You worked hard to shape it the right way. So all I'm going to have her do, I'm going to lift these pieces up, and I kind of go from the round of her head up here at her parietal ridge. And I'm going to pull out two pieces just like this. Do they need to be perfect? No. So I'm going to have her hold these two sides with both hands just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my crown in, and I'm gonna go around and under those pieces. Now, what's in trend right now is to have your crown tilt just a little bit. So instead of being flat up like this, I'm tilting it down just a titch. And now, while I grab my pins, and you just want to be sure that center, I'm just gonna grab my pins. And the crowns, you just don't have to be super specific on where you pin them. I just pin them at the pressure points that I find they'll suffer the worst. So what I'll do is I'll pin it back in the back corners first where I want it to be. Then actually you can let those pieces go. Perfect. And turn your head this way. So I can show you better on this side. It goes all the way down, and this part actually touches their head. So what I like to do is I open my pin and I find the little hole at the end of the crown. And I stick it up and diagonal this way through there, because that way if the wig slips, it has something to catch against. And you can see, like, wiggle your head a little bit. It's not moving anywhere, and that's 2 pins, that's all. Now, for me, I always like to play on the safe side. With this crown in particular, any crown or any tiara, any headpiece you wear, if it has these little holes in here like this, use those to your advantage. I never like to put them up front, though. That's the one thing I don't like. So on the side here, I just stick them wherever they fit. And you don't want to stab your dancer's head, obviously. That one won't fit there, and that's okay. You just gotta stick them wherever you think. But you can see here why I pull those curls forward under here. Because the crown itself, the crown has a set shape. This is a heavier tiara, so it's just gonna move to the shape wherever it goes, and I can't really change that. It's not like a soft fabric one. Then under here where I know I put those flaps, I'll call them, kind of stick the pins in there, going up. I never go down. And really, when you're adjusting or you're shaping, it's just trial and error. There is no right or wrong way. You just have to do it. Now that I got those in, and this is at the point where if I was doing her wig in the morning, I'd say, okay, jump about, move around. Now go ahead and wiggle your head about, see how that feels. Yeah, we're not going anywhere with that. Now at this part, some people like to pin this down. I don't love to. I think you lose that natural wave to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hairspray just a little bit, and I'm going to basically create contact with it. So what I do is I spray the underneath of it, and then I spray that part of the wig right there. And then while they're wet, I kind of rub my finger against it so that they work together. And now wiggle your head about. And you can see how it doesn't come separated, but you're not ruining the wig, you're not taking out the curl, and you're not having to use as many pins. Same on this flap, so what I do is I spray underneath, and then I spray the piece where I want it to stay. And they're pretty wet. What's nice about this hairspray is that it does break up. And then, like I said, you just want to rub that together and put your head up. And then adjust it as so. And then up here, like, I like how this is a bit softer for her. So what I'll do is I'll kind of pull it with my fingers just a little bit, but not too crazy. And I'll spray it. Like this part here, for example, see how it has that really nice smooth piece? That's pretty. It's not what I'm going for right now. So I'm just gonna lift it a little bit, create a little disturbance in there. Just a little. Beautiful. And there you go, everyone.